It's important that we can demonstrate that conservative principles work in public education. And on the personal side, I think it's important to teach my children that you can do hard things, even when people are opposed to you, even things look difficult. That you can do hard things when there's obstacles in your way.
It appears there were just too many obstacles in the way there. That was the day after Branden Durst, by the way, former Democratic lawmaker and Idaho Freedom Foundation employee. It was the day after he was named as West Bonner County School District new superintendent. It was June 29th. It was also the last day Mr. Durst, uncertified and unqualified to do the job, his last day he spoke to us, while the public pushback over his contract and the recall election over his hiring became like a summer-long tire fire in Priest River. Today was the day we learned Durst's tenure is about to be over. The decision from Durst comes as the school board was working to have a meeting to discuss his future. That meeting, first scheduled for last Wednesday, didn't happen because of a lack of a quorum. It's rescheduled for 2 days from now. So what does happen now, and what does Durst have to say about it? Joe Paris is following all of this for us. And Joe, did Durst officially step down as superintendent? There's some little bit of language we have to kind of delve into.
Yeah, there's some nuance here. So to be very clear, it's not like he is resigned today immediately, effective immediately. It's not like he's walking away today. So to be clear, he's still with the district. It's not an immediate resignation. And to quote the about two-page statement that Durst published this afternoon, Superintendent Durst says that he is looking for a, quote, an amicable and fair exit from his role as the superintendent. He adds that this decision has not been made lightly, and he's fully aware of the challenges and sentiments that have surrounded his brief tenure. Now, Durst points out in his statement that, again, he took the job on June 28th. Little backstory for you here. Back in the month of June, the West Bonner School District was looking for its fifth superintendent in a little more than a year. In March of 2022, the superintendent, who had served there for 8 years, they decided to go take the same job in Kamiah, Idaho. So after an involved selection process, the board offered a job to Dr. Michael Roby. He turned it down in the final stages of the process. So school board, back to the beginning. They eventually gave the job to Jackie Branham, one of the other finalists, but they abruptly resigned in March of this year as well. So from there, Susie Lucky, a longtime Bonner County teacher, was appointed by the board as an interim superintendent. And Lucky was in the finals to be named the full super, she and Mr. Branden Durst. Ultimately, the Board of Trustees there chose Durst by a 3-2 vote in late June. And that kicked off a series of heated school board and community meetings about Durst, his political affiliations, his history in politics, and his education qualifications. The contract and benefits, for example, were a major point of contention for some, as well as the requirements just to be superintendent of public instruction in Idaho. One of the requirements for Durst to get the job, or any superintendent job in Idaho, is to have 4 years of full-time certified experience working with students while under contract with an accredited school. You can see on your screen, there's a litany of things you have to do to get through and go be the superintendent, but Durst, he needed a special emergency provisional certificate to get through, and he needed that from the state. And for that to happen, the school board needed to declare an emergency. At the time, one board member, Carolyn Barton, she spoke up saying that she didn't see an emergency that would allow for this certificate.
The superintendent candidate that was voted in is not currently qualified or able to fulfill all the duties of a public school superintendent, even with an emergency certification. The direction of our board has turned into a fascist dictatorship with an agenda, which is far from our conservative point of view. In no way open to uniting the board, employees of this district, or community. The direction or agenda that has been kept from the members, not only from the board, but our community.
So that was a very important school board meeting, and at this point in the story, the school board started to see heavy criticism from the local community. Some were very unhappy that Durst was appointed. And in August, a few months ago, last month I guess, voters recalled board chairman Keith Rutledge and vice chairwoman Susan Brown. The recall petition said that the trustees failed to uphold their oath, a pointed comment about their handling of the Durst appointment. Then just 2 weeks ago, a major development. The Idaho State Board of Education decided they were rejecting that emergency application. A letter sent by the state board's executive director, Matt Friedman, said, absent Mr. Durst meeting all 5 requirements for a superintendent endorsement under Idaho code, there's no pathway for Mr. Durst to obtain the legally required certification to serve as the West Bonner County School District Superintendent. The board said that upon review, Idaho law only allowed them to issue emergency certificates to teachers, not administrators like Durst. So while they had made some exceptions exceptions 3 times since 2015. Their legal interpretation made recently is that those were made in error from the Idaho's AG's office. So in response, Durst accused the board of discrimination and political motivations on social media. So the decision from Durst today comes after a long, about 3 months for that community. And Durst says in a statement today, quote, "I faced a situation marked by its relentless obstacles thrown my way by those who wish to see me fail, including the Idaho State Board of Education and the Superintendent of Public Instruction." You can read with me here in the second part, quote, "To promote healing and unity within the community, I believe it is necessary for me to step aside as superintendent. It may not be entirely fair, but life rarely is. However, I am committed to facilitating a smooth transition for the district and supporting the new superintendent." So, Brian, at this point, I know there's a lot of questions. What happens? How long will Durst be the superintendent? At what point will he step aside? We don't know this for now, and there's a lot of different ways this could go depending on how things work out. Again, the board needs to meet coming up on Wednesday. By statute, they have to meet at least once a month. That was supposed to be last Wednesday. It got called off because one of the board members didn't show up. So, Brian, we'll find out if they show up on this Wednesday.
The other question is related to his contract, because he can be terminated based on what he signed if the superintendent is required to obtain and maintain an Idaho superintendent certification or provisional certification. They can fire him if he doesn't get that, which he didn't get. So that was what was going to be addressed last week, possibly addressed this week. The question is, will he get the remainder of his contract, payment-wise?
And that's when you take a look at his statement today where he says he's looking for a fair and amicable exit.
Yeah.
What does that mean to him? What does that mean to the board? So that's kind of the situation here where I saw some people jump to conclusions on social media, say, oh, he's out, it's over. It's not over, it's in the process.
It may not be entirely fair, but life rarely is what he said today. All right, thank you very much, Joe.